Picture this, brand new trucks with $65,000 stickers being practically given away for $22,000, and customers are still walking away. Family dealerships that weathered the Great Depression are shuttering their doors after 80 years. Auto manufacturers are slashing production by half while millions of cars rot in empty fields. Just last week, I witnessed the funeral of American car culture. I'm standing in the ruins of what was once Arizona's most successful Ford dealership, a place that moved 3,000 vehicles annually and employed 200 people. Now, it's being stripped bare like a carcass. The auctioneer is hammering away, selling million-dollar diagnostic equipment for the price of a used iPhone. 3 generations of family legacy reduced to a garage sale. But here's the thing that'll keep you up at night. This isn't some isolated incident. This is ground zero of the most catastrophic market implosion in automotive history, and it's spreading like wildfire across America. What I'm about to show you will change how you think about transportation forever. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming at the end of this video. Let me paint you a picture so dark it reads like a horror story. At this Arizona dealership liquidation, I'm watching grown men cry as their livelihoods get auctioned off for scrap metal prices. The owner, Jake, is a third-generation dealer whose family built this empire from nothing. They survived gas shortages, economic crashes, and industry upheavals that would have killed weaker businesses. His grandfather sold cars during World War II rationing. His father expanded during the stagflation of the 1970s. But this is different. This is extinction level. I'm watching equipment worth more than most people's houses sell for pocket change. A $45,000 alignment machine goes for $1,500. Computerized diagnostic systems worth $80,000 sell for $3,000. Even the fancy customer lounge furniture gets picked clean for pennies. Jake looks me dead in the eye and delivers a line that hits like a sledgehammer. I beat the 2008 crash, I survived the pandemic shutdown, but I can't fight customers who've given up on cars completely. That's when the reality hits me like a freight train. This isn't about economic cycles or market corrections. We're witnessing the systematic destruction of an entire industry, the backbone of American manufacturing and culture. When successful dealers in prime locations with decades of customer loyalty can't move inventory at fire sale prices, the game is over. The rules have changed permanently. But Jake's story is just the tip of the iceberg. The data I uncovered next will make your head spin, and it explains why this meltdown is about to get much worse. I spent 3 weeks digging through industry reports, and what I found reads like an economic apocalypse script. We're not just talking about a bad quarter or a rough year. We're staring at the complete annihilation of the automotive retail sector. Here's the brutal truth that industry executives are desperately trying to hide. 33% of all dealerships are on life support and won't survive the next 8 months. Vehicle inventory is backing up so fast, it's creating environmental hazards. Major auto groups that seemed invincible are filing Chapter 11 in record numbers. But here's the kicker that'll blow your mind. Americans haven't just lost the ability to buy cars, they've lost the desire to buy them. The average car payment has exploded past $850 monthly. That's not a typo. For most families, that's more than their rent, their food budget, and their utilities combined. We're talking about transportation costs that consume 45% of median household income. That's not sustainable at all. But it gets worse. While families are drowning in costs, they're also dealing with inflation eating away at purchasing power, housing costs that have tripled in some markets, credit card debt that's reached crisis levels, wages that haven't kept pace with any of these increases. Meanwhile, automakers kept pushing the envelope. Pickup trucks that cost $30,000 in 2019 now start at $55,000. Basic family vehicles discontinued in favor of luxury SUVs. Entry-level cars priced like premium vehicles used to be. It's like watching someone price themselves out of existence in real time. But the pricing crisis was just the setup. What triggered the complete collapse was a single decision that nobody saw coming, and it turned an affordability problem into a market apocalypse. 8 months ago, dealers were adding $10,000 markups to popular models, and customers were lining up to pay. Today, those same dealers are offering $15,000 below sticker price and can't find buyers. What changed everything wasn't a recession or a supply shortage, it was a weapon of mass financial destruction disguised as monetary policy. Last month, I shadowed a family shopping for their first new car in Denver. The Hendersons, two teachers with solid incomes and excellent credit, walked into what should have been a routine purchase and walked out traumatized. They'd saved $12,000 for a down payment, they qualified for financing, they found the perfect family SUV. But when the finance manager ran the numbers, their American dream turned into a nightmare. I can get you approved at 18.5%, the finance manager announced like he was delivering good news. Let me break down this financial horror show. Vehicle price, $38,000. Down payment, $12,000. Amount financed, $26,000. Interest rate, 18.5%. Monthly payment, $587. Add insurance, $220. Total monthly, $807. Mrs. Henderson literally gasped. That's more than we pay for our mortgage, utilities, and groceries combined. Here's what's truly insane. Auto loans that were 2 to 4% during the pandemic have skyrocketed to 15 to 22% for good credit customers. People with average credit are seeing rates of 25 to 28%. These are loan shark rates. These are bank rates for secured loans backed by the vehicle itself. I watched Mrs. Henderson tear up when she realized their 12-year-old Toyota with 220,000 miles was their most valuable financial asset. No payment, minimal insurance, repairable for hundreds instead of thousands. We'll just keep patching it together, Mr. Henderson said. And you could see his dreams deflating in real time. If this story sounds familiar, hit that like button because this exact scene is playing out thousands of times daily across America. But crushing interest rates were just the beginning. The inventory disaster I discovered next will make your jaw drop. I just returned from the most depressing road trip of my life, touring the automotive graveyards of America. These aren't junkyards filled with old cars. These are pristine storage facilities packed with brand new vehicles that nobody wants. Outside Chicago, I found a 500-acre facility housing 50,000 unsold vehicles. The site manager, Rebecca, has been in logistics for 20 years and calls this the apocalypse of excess. Walking through these automotive cemeteries is surreal. Rows of 2024 models that should have sold last summer, 2023 vehicles now considered aged inventory. Some 2022 models that have been sitting for 18 months. Brand new cars developing rust from weather exposure. Each one of these represents $40,000 to $80,000 in manufacturer investment. Rebecca explains. They'd rather sell them for $25,000 than admit defeat. But even at those prices, there are no buyers. The numbers are staggering. 5.7 million unsold vehicles nationwide. Average time on lots, 240 days. Normal is 45 to 60 days. Some luxury EVs approaching 400 days unsold. Daily storage costs, $25 to $40 per vehicle. For a dealer with 300 vehicles, that's $7,500 to $12,000 daily, just in storage costs. Monthly overhead of $225,000 to $360,000 before they sell anything. The electric vehicle section is particularly apocalyptic. Luxury EVs that cost $90,000 to manufacture are being offered at $45,000 with no takers. The charging infrastructure is a joke, Rebecca explains. Customers aren't just rejecting the price, they're rejecting the entire concept. The industry response has been brutal. Ford slashing production by 50%, GM closing plants indefinitely, Stellantis cutting 25,000 jobs, Toyota reducing North American output by 40%. In the most depressing section, Rebecca shows me cars that have been sitting so long they're literally falling apart. Dead batteries that cost $300 plus to replace, tires with permanent flat spots, faded paint from UV exposure, rodent damage to interior components. We're managing the decay of $300 billion in automotive assets, she says. It's like watching money evaporate in real time. But the storage crisis is nothing compared to what dealers are doing to survive. What I witnessed next defies belief. I just spent 48 hours embedded with dealers who are literally hemorrhaging cash to stay alive. What I witnessed represents the death throes of American car retail. Meet Carlos Ramirez, who runs a Chevy dealership that his family has operated for 40 years. Last year, they sold 200 cars monthly. This month, 17. I'm selling cars at a $5,000 loss per unit just to generate cash flow, Carlos tells me, and the exhaustion in his voice is palpable. Every sale bankrupts me a little more, but stopping means instant death. Carlos walks me through the math on a 2024 Silverado. Dealer cost $42,000, manufacturer incentives $6,000. Dealer discount, $8,000. Sale price, $28,000. Net loss per sale, $4,000. He's literally paying customers to take vehicles off his lot. The floor plan crisis is suffocating dealers. Carlos owes $4.2 million to banks for his inventory. Monthly floor plan payment, $68,000. Total monthly overhead, $145,000. Cars needed to break even, $120. Actual monthly sales, $17. The math is impossible. Survival is impossible. Dealers are resorting to tactics that would have been unthinkable. Selling new cars with 5 miles as used to bypass pricing restrictions. Converting half their showroom into service bays, offering employee pricing to anyone who walks in, creating VIP customer programs with 40% discounts. My service department is the only thing keeping the lights on, Carlos admits. People can't buy new cars, so they're spending $5,000 rebuilding engines with 300,000 miles. It's backwards, but it's survival. The cascade effect is devastating. Parts suppliers demanding cash on delivery. Technicians being laid off despite service demand. Entire dealer groups filing Chapter 11. Multi-generational family businesses closing forever. Carlos looks at me with tears in his eyes. I've got 45 employees who depend on me. I've got 3 generations of family legacy, but I can't fight math. When selling cars costs more than not selling them, there's no business left. The dealer crisis is just the visible symptom. The real story is what's happening to American consumers, and it's going to shock you. I spent the last 2 weeks interviewing families about their transportation decisions, and what I discovered represents a seismic shift in American consciousness that's killing the car industry. Meet Rachel Thompson, a marketing director from Austin. She's driving a 2016 Honda Accord with 245,000 miles that looks like it belongs in a junkyard. The air conditioning died, the paint is peeling, and it needs $2,000 in repairs. By every marketing metric, she's the perfect candidate for a new car purchase. Instead, she's planning to drive her beater until it literally falls apart. I did the math, she tells me with a confidence that surprises me. I can fix this car for the next 5 years for less than 6 months of new car payments. Why would I enslave myself to debt for transportation that does the same job? The data backs up her skepticism. Modern cars average 3,500 electronic components, but the reliability ratings have decreased as technology increased. Warranty claims are 40% higher than decade-old vehicles. Average repair costs have tripled due to complexity. And the alternatives are exploding. Car sharing memberships up 400% in 2 years. E-bike sales crushing car sales in urban areas. Remote work eliminating commuting needs. Public transportation ridership hitting record highs. I take the train to work now, Rachel says. It costs $85 monthly instead of $900. I read books instead of sitting in traffic. I'm healthier, wealthier, and less stressed. This isn't temporary economizing. This is a permanent revolution in how Americans think about mobility. The assumption that everyone needs a new car every few years is dying and taking the entire industry with it. Drop a comment below. Are you keeping your old car longer? Have you given up on new vehicles entirely? I'm seeing this everywhere, and your story matters. But individual choices are creating a tsunami of economic destruction that goes way beyond car lots. The automotive collapse isn't just about cars. It's about the systematic destruction of American industrial capacity. I just returned from the automotive heartland, and what I found looks like an economic war zone. In Toledo, Ohio, I toured a transmission plant that's been the economic backbone of the community for 35 years. Next month, it's closing forever, putting 1,200 people out of work. Miguel Hernandez has worked there for 18 years, building transmissions for trucks that nobody wants to buy. He makes $28 per hour, enough to support his family and buy a house in a community where that's still possible. They gave us 90 days notice, he tells me, and the defeat in his voice is crushing. I'm 47 years old. Who's going to hire a middle-aged factory worker when there are no factories left? The numbers are staggering. Automotive manufacturing supports 6.2 million jobs directly. Another 8 million jobs depend on the industry indirectly. 75,000 automotive jobs lost in the past 8 months. Entire supply chains collapsing simultaneously. The financial destruction is spreading. Auto loan defaults hitting 2008 levels, banks with automotive exposure facing massive losses, pension funds loaded with auto debt hemorrhaging money, credit unions serving auto workers facing insolvency. The pension fund crisis is particularly brutal. Teacher retirement funds, state employee pensions, and union pension plans are all heavily invested in automotive debt that's become worthless. This used to be a thriving community, Miguel says, as we stand outside the doomed factory.
Kids grew up here, got good jobs, bought houses, raised families. Now there's nothing left. The American dream died with the auto industry.
We're witnessing the deindustrialization of America in real time, and it's happening faster than anyone thought possible. But the worst part? Industry experts are predicting this is just the beginning. What they told me about the future will keep you awake at night. I just finished interviewing the top automotive analysts in the country, and their predictions are so dark they barely seem believable. But the data doesn't lie. Dr. Amanda Rivera has been forecasting automotive markets for 15 years. She's advised Fortune 500 companies and government agencies through every major industry crisis. But when I ask her about the future, her response chills me to the bone. We're not looking at a recession or a correction, she says with the certainty of someone who's seen the data. We're looking at the complete end of mass automobile ownership in America. This is a civilizational shift. The forecasts are beyond devastating. Vehicle sales will crater by 70% over the next 4 years. Half of all dealerships will close permanently. At least 2 major manufacturers will file bankruptcy. Used car values will collapse by 60%. The fundamental economics are broken beyond repair, Dr. Rivera explains. When transportation costs exceed housing costs for the average family, the market ceases to function. Period. The America of 2030 will look nothing like today. Cars will be luxury items for the wealthy only. Most families will rely on used vehicles, public transport, or car sharing. Entire suburban areas will become economically unviable. The auto industry will shrink to 20% of current size. We're returning to pre-1950s transportation patterns, Dr. Rivera says. Cars will be special occasion items, not daily necessities. Urban areas will grow, suburbs will shrink, and American culture will fundamentally change. For investors, the implications are catastrophic. Automotive stocks will lose 80% of their value. Related industries will face similar destruction. Entire regions dependent on auto manufacturing will face economic collapse. Traditional transportation infrastructure will become obsolete. What we've just witnessed isn't just market turbulence, it's the complete transformation of American society. The age of universal car ownership is ending, and we are living through the collapse in real time. This affects you directly, whether you're planning to buy a car, work in a related industry, or just trying to understand why everything feels economically unstable. This automotive apocalypse is reshaping your world. If this video blew your mind, smash that like button and subscribe immediately. Share this with everyone you know who needs to understand what's really happening to our economy. I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you seeing dealerships closing in your area? Have you decided to keep your old car longer? Are you considering alternatives to car ownership? Your experiences are the real story here. Next week, I'm investigating the insurance industry meltdown that's connected to this automotive collapse. The connections I found will absolutely shock you. The automotive apocalypse is here. The question isn't whether it's happening, it's whether you're prepared for what comes next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.